my girlfriend joked. My work husband is buying me lunch every day. You need to step up. I replied, you're right. Then I sent her work husband a thank you card with a $50 Starbucks gift card for taking care of her. Her next call came from her panicked HR department. I 32 male work in logistics. It's not a glamorous job, but it pays well, it's stable, and it fits my personality. I like order. I like precision. My girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend now, was a complete opposite. Let's call her the marketer. She worked for a mid-sized tech firm in the city, and from the moment we moved in together 2 years ago, the dynamic was lopsided. I paid the mortgage on the house I bought before we met. I paid the utilities, the internet, and the bulk of the groceries. She paid for her leased luxury car, her designer wardrobe, and her image. She was obsessed with the aesthetic of success without wanting to put in the grit required to maintain it. I'd come home tired, wanting to reheat leftovers and watch a game, and she'd be scrolling through social media, talking about how her colleagues were eating at the newest fusion spots or hitting happy hours that cost more than my weekly gas budget. The incident that ended my relationship and ruined her life started on a seemingly random Tuesday. I had made a pot roast. It wasn't anything Michelin star level, but it was solid, hearty food. I'd been slow cooking it for 8 hours. We were sitting at the kitchen island, and she was picking at the meat with her fork like it was contaminated. Not hungry? I asked, trying to keep the annoyance out of my voice. She sighed, the kind of heavy, theatrical sigh that signals a lecture is coming. I'm just full. Lunch was huge today. Oh, where'd you go? The director took me to Le Vernissage, she said, naming a French bistro downtown that requires reservations 3 weeks out. We had the tasting menu and this insane bottle of Sancerre. The director was her boss's boss. She called him her work husband. I hated the term. It felt disrespectful, not because I was jealous of a 55-year-old corporate suit, but because it implied a level of intimacy and reliance that should belong to our relationship. That's a hell of a lunch for a Tuesday, I said, cutting a piece of carrot. Company card? She smirked, looking up from her phone. Of course. He loves taking me out. He says I'm the only one in the office with any actual vision. Honestly, he treats me better between 9 and 5 and you do the rest of the time. I put my fork down. The room went quiet. The air conditioner hummed, sounding louder than usual. Excuse me? She laughed, waving a hand dismissively. Oh, don't be so sensitive. I'm just saying my work husband is buying me lunch every day at top-tier places. He listens to my ideas. He validates me. Well, we're eating pot roast. Again, you need to step up. I pay the mortgage so you can lease that BMW, I said, my voice low. I cover everything so you can save your money. That's the bare minimum, she shot back, her eyes flashing with sudden, sharp entitlement that made her look like a stranger. The director knows my worth. He takes care of me. Maybe take notes. She went back to texting. I stared at her, realized she wasn't joking, and felt something cold settle in my chest. It wasn't anger, it was clarity. If she wanted the director to be acknowledged for taking care of her, I figured I should be polite. I should thank the man. The next morning, I didn't say much. I left for work early. On my lunch break, I drove to a stationery store and bought a high-end, thick cardstock thank you card. Elegant, professional, heavy. Then I went to Starbucks and bought a $50 gift card. I sat in my truck and wrote the note. I wanted to be precise. I didn't want to sound angry. I wanted to sound like a supportive, appreciative partner who was just so happy his girlfriend was being supported. It read, Dear Director's last name, the marketer tells me constantly how wonderful you are to her. She mentioned yesterday that you buy her lunch every single day and that you take care of her in ways I can't. I just wanted to extend my personal gratitude. It takes a village, right? Thanks for stepping up and feeding her the expensive stuff, so I don't have to. Please enjoy coffee on me. It's the least I can do for my girlfriend's work husband. Sincerely. I sealed it. I put a stamp on it. I mailed it directly to his office at the corporate HQ. I knew enough about corporate mailroom protocols to know that personal mail marked specifically for an executive usually gets delivered to their assistant, or directly to their desk if it looks like a personal invite. This looked like a wedding invitation. 3 days passed. I acted normal. She continued to act superior, coming home with stories of expensive sushi lunches and complaining about the thread count of our sheets. I waited. Then came Friday. My phone rang at 2:15 p.m. It was her. I answered. "Hey, what did you do?" Her voice was a hiss, vibrating with panic. "I'm at the warehouse, checking inventory." "What do you mean? Did you send a card?" "A freaking Starbucks card to the director." "Oh, yeah," I said casually, leaning back in my office chair. "You said he was taking such good care of you." I wanted to be polite. "Did he get it? Get it? Get it?" She was screaming now, her voice cracking. "I am in HR. They just escorted me out of my cubicle. Security is packing my things. You ruined everything." "I don't understand." I lied. "I just thanked him for buying you lunch." "You said he buys you lunch every day on the company card. Why is that a problem? Unless he wasn't supposed to be doing that." "Shut up. Shut up," she shrieked. "You have no idea what you've done. You need to fix this. Now, you need to call them and tell them it was a prank. Tell them you're crazy. Tell them you're an abusive, jealous psycho who made it all up." "Whoa," I said, spinning a pen on my desk. "Why would I lie? You told me he buys you lunch." I thanked him. "If telling the truth got you fired, that sounds like a you problem." "I'm coming home," she said, her voice dropping to a terrifyingly calm register. "And if you don't pick up the phone and retract that letter by the time I get there, I will burn your entire life to the ground. You have no idea who you're dealing with." She hung up. I sat there for a moment, processing. I had expected embarrassment. I had expected an argument. I hadn't expected immediate termination and security escorts. I realized then that I had accidentally pulled a thread that was attached to something much, much bigger than a few expensive salads. I left work early. I went home, but before I did, I stopped at an electronics store. I bought 2 small, voice-activated recorders. In my state, the wiretapping laws are one-party consent. As long as I am part of the conversation, I can record without telling the other person. I had a feeling I was going to need them. When I got to the house, I taped one recorder under the lip of the kitchen island, our usual battleground, and put the other in my pocket. I poured myself a drink and waited. She didn't use her key. She kicked the door. She stormed in, her face blotchy from crying, holding a box of personal items, a stapler, a framed photo of us, ironic, and her potted succulent. She slammed the box onto the kitchen island, shaking. The counter. "Fix it," she commanded. No hello, no explanation, just a demand. "Fix what?" I asked, staying seated on the bar stool. "Explain to me why a thank you note got you fired. If he was buying you lunch legally, my note is just awkward. It's not a firing offense." She paced the kitchen, her heels clicking aggressively on the hardwood. She looked cornered, like a feral animal. "It wasn't just lunch, you idiot," she screamed. "The director didn't know. He didn't know he was eating with you. He didn't know I was expensing it to him," she blurted out, then clamped her hand over her mouth. I took a slow sip of my drink. The recorder under the island was definitely picking this up. "Okay, walk me through this. You said he was your work husband. You said he was treating you. He gave me his login credentials 6 months ago to book his travel," she said, her words tumbling out fast, desperate to make me understand why this was my fault. "He's old. He doesn't check the line items. I've been adding my lunches, my Ubers, a few other things. I approved them as his proxy. It was fine. Nobody looked until you sent a card explicitly thanking him for taking care of me and feeding me." His executive assistant opened it. She showed it to his wife. His wife went to HR and legal because she thought he was having an affair and using company funds to pay for sugar baby. I almost laughed. It was perfect. "So, you were embezzling funds and framing it as an affair?" "I was supplementing my income," she yelled, slamming her hand on the counter. "I deserve it. They underpay me. And now, because of your fragile male ego, they're doing a full audit. They're going back 2 years. They're talking about misappropriation of assets and fraud. Do you know what that does to my resume?" I imagine it destroys it. I said calmly, "You are going to call them," she said, walking up to me and pointing a manicured finger in my face. "You are going to call the VP of HR. I have the number. You're going to say you are a paranoid, abusive boyfriend who sent that card caused trouble and that the director never bought me anything. You're going to say you made it all up to get me fired because you're controlling. I'm not doing that." I said, "I'm not lying to a corporate legal team to cover up your theft." Her face changed. The panic vanished, replaced by a cold, calculated malice. She leaned in close, her perfume overpowering in the worst way. "If you don't," she whispered, "I will go to the police. I will tell them you hit me. I will tell them you forced me to steal that money. I'll say I was under duress. I'll ruin your reputation. You'll never work in this town again. You think a background check looks good with a domestic violence charge pending." My stomach turned. I knew she was entitled, but I didn't know she was evil. This was the woman I had shared a bed with. "You're blackmailing me?" I asked, loud enough for the microphone in my pocket. "I'm negotiating," she smirked. "I need that audit stopped. If I get reinstated, or at least allowed to resign with a neutral reference, I won't destroy you. But if I go down for fraud, I'm taking you down for abuse. Who do you think they'll believe? The crying woman who lost her job, or the jealous boyfriend who sent a creepy letter to her boss?" She grabbed her box. "I'm staying at a hotel tonight. I expect you to make that call by 9 a.m. tomorrow, or I'm driving straight to the precinct." She turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, and since you pay the mortgage, I expect you to transfer $5,000 to my account. I need a retainer for a lawyer, just in case. Consider it stepping up." She slammed the door. I stood there for a long time. The silence in the house was heavy. I reached under the island and retrieved the recorder. I stopped the recording on my phone. She thought she had leverage. She thought she could use the legal system as a weapon to cover her crimes. She didn't realize that by threatening to frame me for a crime, I didn't commit to cover up a crime she did commit. She had just handed me the nuclear codes. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I organized. I went through our bank statements. I found the transfers where she had moved money from her personal account, likely the reimbursement checks, to pay off her credit cards. I built a timeline. At 8 a.m. the next morning, I didn't call her HR department. I called a criminal defense attorney I knew through work, just to verify my position. If I have a recording of someone admitting to embezzlement and then threatening to file a false police report against me if I don't cover for them, is that admissible? I asked. In this state? Absolutely, the lawyer said. That's extortion. And if she actually files a false report, it's a felony. Do not contact her. Do not agree to anything. Secure your assets. I hung up. I wasn't just going to defend myself. I was going to ensure she faced the full weight of her negotiation. I went to the bank and removed my name from the joint savings account we rarely used, ensuring my direct deposits were locked down in a fresh account at a different bank. Then I sat down and drafted an email, not to her, to the general counsel of her former company. I found the email address on their corporate website under the Investor Relations/Governance tab. Subject: regarding the termination of the marketer/inquiry from my name to the legal department. I am the individual who sent the card to the director. I understand my girlfriend was terminated yesterday. She has demanded I contact you to claim the card was a lie and a product of my abusive behavior. I am not willing to lie to cover up corporate theft. Attached, you will find a digital audio file from yesterday evening. In this recording, the marketer admits to 1. Misusing the director's login credentials to embezzle funds. 2. Forging approvals. 3. Threatening to file a false police report for domestic violence against me if I did not lie to your department. I am providing this to clear my name and to assist in your investigation. I will not be contacting her again. I hit send. The response was almost immediate. Less than 20 minutes. A lawyer from the firm called me. "Mr. Opie, this is legal counsel for the company. We received your email. We are very interested in this recording. Are you safe right now?" "I am," I said. "We have already involved the authorities regarding the financial irregularities. which appeared to be significant, well over felony threshold. However, this extortion attempt is a separate matter. We would like to hand this evidence over to the detective handling the fraud case. Do we have your permission? Do it, I said. The weekend passed in silence. She didn't call. I assumed she was waiting for Monday, thinking I was going to cave and make the call to save myself. Monday morning, I went to work. Around 11 a.m., my phone blew up. 17 missed calls from her. Then texts. Text 1, what did you do? Text 2, the police are at my hotel. Text 3, they have a recording? You recorded me? Text 4, I'm sorry, baby, please tell them it was a joke, I'm scared. Text 5, screw you, I will kill you. I didn't reply. I blocked the number. That afternoon, I got a call from a Detective Miller. Sir, we've taken the marketer into custody. She's being charged with grand larceny and attempted extortion. Based on the audio file you provided to her employer, which was forwarded to us, and the subsequent investigation into her expense accounts, we have a very solid case. We also have her on record attempting to solicit a false statement from you. We'd like to get a formal statement from you to close the loop on the extortion charge. I went to the precinct after work. It wasn't like the movies. It was fluorescent lights, bad coffee, and a lot of paperwork. I found out the extent of it during the statement. It wasn't just lunch. She had expensed her retreat to Cabo that she told me she won in a contest. She had expensed designer bags as client gifts. She had stolen nearly $45,000 in 18 months. The director had been completely in the dark, an older guy who just trusted his assistant and his mentee to handle the paperwork. The entitlement she showed in the kitchen was just the tip of the iceberg. She had been treating the company like her personal piggy bank because she felt she deserved the lifestyle. When I got home, I packed the rest of her stuff. I didn't burn it. I didn't throw it on the lawn. I boxed it up, taped it shut, and put it in the garage. I'm a logistician. I like things orderly. 2 weeks later, her parents contacted me. They were furious, accusing me of ruining her life over a misunderstanding. She's facing 5 years because of you, her mother screamed over phone. No, I said, my voice steady. She's facing 5 years because she stole $45,000 and tried to frame me for abuse. I just turned on the light. I hung up and blocked them too. The legal process moved surprisingly fast because the corporate evidence was undeniable. She took a plea deal to avoid the maximum sentence. She pleaded guilty to grand larceny in the 3rd degree. She got probation restitution, meaning she has to pay back every cent, and a felony record. The work husband retired early. I heard through the grapevine that the scandal was too much for him, even though he was cleared of wrongdoing. His reputation as a leader was shot because he let a junior employee fleece the department for 2 years. It's been 6 months since the day I sent the Starbucks card. The house is quiet, but it's a peaceful quiet. My bank account is growing again. I don't have to stress about financing a lifestyle I can't afford. But there was a final loose end, the civil side of things. Because we weren't married, the separation of assets was easier. But she tried one last Hail Mary from her parent house where she's now living and where she is barred from leaving the county. She tried to sue me in small claims court for the value of the furniture in the house, claiming she bought it. She wanted $5,000, exactly the amount she demanded for her lawyer retainer. She didn't buy any of it. I had the receipts, every single one. I showed up to the hearing with a binder, tabulated, highlighted. The judge looked at her, then at my binder, then back at her. Plaintiff has provided no proof of purchase. Defendant has provided itemized receipts matching the serial numbers of the appliances and furniture. Case dismissed with prejudice. As we walked out of the courthouse, she tried to stop me. She looked tired. The high-maintenance gloss was gone. No Sephora, no blowout hair. Just a girl in a cheap suit facing a mountain of debt. You know, she said, her voice trembling, you could have just broken up with me. You didn't have to send that card. I stopped. I looked at her, really looked at her, for the last time. You told me to step up, I said, and you were right. I needed to stop letting people walk all over me. Sending that card was the first time I actually stood up for myself in our relationship. The fact that it exposed you as a thief, that was just a bonus. I walked to my truck. I didn't look back. I used to think that being a good man meant providing, keeping your head down, and tolerating disrespect to keep the peace. I realized that true self-respect draws a line. The work husband joke wasn't just a joke. It was a confession of her values. She valued what people could give her, not who they were. I'm still single. I'm focusing on my career, my dog, and paying down the mortgage. I cook my own pot roast, and I enjoy every bite of it.